Hi, and welcome to episode 15 of Tennis Volley Talk by Brian Danielson. Well, again, today I was supposed to have an in-house guest, but that was a no-show again today. So today what I'm going to be doing is actually talking about a phone over an interview that I gave to Patrick Kearns that used to own a tennis shop in Charlottesville, Virginia. Very similar to a little different story, but similar to what Cliff Price, my friend in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that owned a tennis shop at one time. But I will be playing the interview for you so you can hear it. And then I will be pausing it and then interjecting my thoughts of what he was saying. And, we'll take it from there. But anyway, here's the interview, and I hope you like it. Maybe a little longer with the racket of the day today and some tidbits of some facts that you're going to hear about what he did and where he's at in Virginia. So I hope you enjoy, and here we go. Hi, welcome back to Tennis Volley Talk. Today I have with me Patrick Kearns, which is kind of an interesting way we kind of met. We met through Facebook on a tennis group, in a sense, called Unstrung Heroes, I think. And then he was kind of made a little mention that he had just closed a tennis shop where he lived after 30 years. But then I hit him with a note and I said, well, yeah, I have a podcast and tennis thing. And I just had talked to another friend of mine, Cliff Price, that lived in Oklahoma, that had just shut down his tennis shop. But, right now I just want to welcome Patrick to the show. And thank you for having me, calling me, or having you with me with your busy schedule, because I bet you had mentioned that you were stringing for a lot of the colleges and stuff like that. So it has kept you busy even after closing your tennis shop, which probably kept you pretty busy anyway.
Right. So hey Brian, hey, thanks. But just so you know, the tennis shop actually did close. I sold my shares to my partner.
Oh, okay.
So the shop is still open.
Oh, it is. Okay. Well, that's good.
And when I opened, so just to give you a little background, I moved to Charlottesville, Virginia in 1995, and I became the director of tennis at Farmington Country Club. And before that, I lived in Connecticut, where I was
Now, with that Farmington Country Club, is in Charlottesville, Virginia. Industry. Yeah, Farmington Country Club, Charlottesville, Virginia. Uh, East wing of the clubhouse itself was constructed in 1802 near the University of Virginia. In addition to the pre-1780 structure, was designed by Thomas Jefferson over our third president from 1801 to 1809. So that's kind of a little bit of the background with that. Virginia actually started in the 1500s, visited by Spanish explorers, and occupied by several different tribes. Late in 16th century, Sir Walter Raleigh and Queen Elizabeth first named the area Virginia in honor of the Virgin Queen. So that's kind of a little background of where he kind of grew up with this too. So back to the interview.
Director of tennis at a club up there, and then I actually graduated from Ferris State University, in which I was in the first class of the professional tennis management program back in like 1986. So my background has always been tennis. I've owned tennis shops from the time I was 25 until this last May, or not last May, this last February. And so tennis has been in my blood my whole life. And even though I don't own a shop, I still, like you mentioned, I do stringing for the University of Virginia men's and women's teams. The UVA men's tennis team is, always one of the top teams in the country. Last year we won the national championship. So I had the opportunity to go down to Illinois and be with the team when we won it. Girls team is, top 10, and had the opportunity to string for Emma Navarro, who won a national championship a few years ago. And then actually this last week I was actually stringing for a pro tournament here in Charlottesville, 60,000 ITF women's tournament, and Emma actually won the tournament again this week. So even though don't own a shop, I still string a ton. Like in the last 10 days, I've strung probably 250 frames. Between, during the season, I average between 15 and 20 almost every day.
Wow. So, yeah. And you probably get that down to such a fine art. It's probably about 20 minutes a racket or something like that. 30 minutes.
If I'm stringing in 20 minutes, I'm behind.
Oh my gosh.
I try to keep between 15 and 20. So normally I string in about 15 to 16 minutes per frame.
Wow, that is.
But you have to understand something. The frames that I'm stringing are, 16, 19 Giannis's blades.
Oh, sure.
So with that, him stringing as much as he does and as fast as he does, and plus being the same kind of a racket frame that he's framing, the Yonex rackets, it kind of makes sense that he would get that down to being able to string it so quick that way. But however, the University of Virginia has 13 lighted tennis courts and pickleball courts, and called the Snyder Tennis Center. It is a USTA awarded winning hardcourt tennis facility, open daily from dawn until 11:30 p.m. at night.
We string with the slick string. They're polys, but you're just because I string them so often, I'm pretty quick.
Oh yeah, well I'm sure. Yeah, I have a Gamma stringer myself. The weight, so it's called manual and not electric or anything. So, but it still works for me, and I've strung a few rackets. So.
I have a Neos that Prince Neos that I've had for over 30 years, and I still keep it because if something happens where I can't string on an electric machine, then I got to be able to jump on one of our manuals.
Oh sure.
It's still is. I mean, it's a tank.
Yeah.
And, it's just as good today.
Oh yeah.
30 years ago.
Oh, I'm sure it was. And funny thing is that through Unstrung Heroes on that tennis group, I came across another guy that actually had found an old Fremont T145 stringer in his mom's attic. And I hit him with a little note and finally got together, and he was coming from Chicago going up to North Dakota because he's a badminton player now. Does still play a little bit of tennis, but he actually then delivered it to me and gave it to me because I used to have one that got accidentally thrown away with cleaning things, and ex-wife didn't particularly know what it was, and she threw it away. So unfortunately, but then I have the one that was thrown away, and he gave it to me, and he said, I'm not going to do anything with it, but old Fremont T145, probably in the late 50s, early 60s. Yeah, and it was really, really kind of really cool to be able to get it and no crank and everything. It was really, and I actually did on the old one, the one I had got thrown away. I did actually string a racket with that too, and it worked fairly decent, but it was really tough to get up underneath and weave the strings back and forth, but still fun.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's funny how for the manual machines, not a lot has changed.
No, they really haven't.
They basically haven't changed in 30 years.
Oh yeah.
There's really a lot that you can really do change with the manual, whereas the electronic machines have changed a lot.
Oh, I'm sure they have. Yeah. So when you were growing up, and did you grow up in a tennis family, and did you just kind of like got into it, and then you kind of found out that you just had natural ability to hand-eye coordination to hit the ball and be good at it?
So I grew up in a small town in Michigan called VOLLEY, which is it's about 30 minutes outside of East Lansing and 30 minutes outside of Flint. And so I live like right in the middle. And where I grew up, in the town that I grew up, I lived a quarter mile from like a park, and they had tennis courts, baseball field, basketball court, typical community area. And I'd go there every day growing up, and I would play tennis, play baseball, play basketball, and I would do it all day. And that was where so I'm 56, so 50 years ago, when I started playing tennis between my second and third grade, so I was like 7 and 8 years old, and I was fortunate that we had community people who taught, like the high school coaches and all that during the summers. And I started playing, and one of my best friends that I grew up with also started playing, and we played against each other 1,000 times growing up, and played high school together. And I was really a really good baseball player and basketball player. Basketball was my first sport that I really loved. Tennis was great because it was something I could do during the summer.
Oh, sure.
But being in Michigan, that season was basically
3 months long, and that was about it.
Yeah, April 15th until September 15th.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, whereas basketball, I played that. I dropped out from the YMCA every, after school, and,
sure.
On the weekends,
sure.
I played basketball all day, and at the gym, and you just kind of rotated through. But then, as I got older, when I was like in the 8th grade, I was like 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". So I was, a bigger 8th grader, and I was a guard, and I could handle the ball, and I could shoot, and I could score, and I was actually pretty good. And then in 9th grade, I was still 5'9", 5'10". And in 10th grade, I was still 5'9", 5'10". And I wasn't getting any taller. And all my friends were getting bigger. And so like my freshman year in high school, I averaged close to 20 points a game. And that was what's going to be my sport. And then all of a sudden, I realized that as my friends got bigger and my playing time got less, it was like, okay, I'm actually a better did singles.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then in between my sophomore year and junior year in high school, I started playing more tennis tournaments, and that's when I realized that I was I was pretty good. So that's when I realized that tennis was going to be my sport, and I started teaching tennis.
Oh, okay.
With that too, that's kind of similarity with what I did, because I grew up with a buddy of mine at our tennis courts, the local high school tennis courts, and kind of grew my game through that too, with being able to play practically every day, all day during the summer with all the tennis guys at the tennis court, and very much like he did too, with that in getting into tennis when he did.
That summer, and that's when I realized that, hey, you know what, this could actually be something, pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And then, then I ended up going to Fair State, which is in Big Rapids, Michigan, and we started a tennis management program, and then ended up in that. So,
And then,
where are you? You're in Minnesota.
well, actually, just north of the Twin Cities is where I'm at.
So there's a couple. So you know, like a perspective of your nurse.
I do not. I haven't heard the name.
She works at one of the Lifetime.
Okay.
At one of the Lifetimes. So we went to school together, and I know she lives in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
There's another guy named Greg Hires.
Okay.
Who also lives in Minneapolis, or that Twin City area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I went there, and then from there I ended up in the business.
Oh wow. Yeah, and you just kind of happen to have a partner that you kind of form the shop with then, and
So I lived in until I was the director of tennis at a club, and then decided to start a camp and run a camp and do that type of stuff. And then I opened the shop, and then I took on a partner after owning the shop for a few years, and then just over the course of time, the landlord wanted to change the lease coming up. We wanted a little more of a long-term lease, and I just didn't feel that was right for me at this time.
oh sure.
I've got two daughters, and one lives in Chicago,
Oh.
and another lives in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
And so it just wasn't, I just didn't want to lock in for another.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to be a 7-year lease.
Oh sure.
That was just too much for me.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do your daughters play tennis too, or?
they did.
Okay.
They played.
Oh good.
Won a couple state championships.
Oh wow.
They were players of the year, and it was great.
Oh,
They were
part of the family thing.
Yeah. Coach, what happened?
Oh sure, absolutely. And your similarities with growing up with friends and playing tennis, very much like me with having a friend of mine that I always played tennis with. I was the young kid on the court, and so back then I was the young kid, and all the old guys kind of adopted us young kids, and then you start hitting with the old guys, and eventually on a Saturday you get to the courts, the high school courts at like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's full, and if you didn't know anybody, and then all the courts would be full doubles, and then you'd be waiting around a little bit, and then one guy go, hey, I'm done, you come on and fill in, and so you'd go in and fill in with doubles, and if nobody knew anybody, and they came up to the courts, they wouldn't get a court until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody was done. Very similar growing up that way.
That was just what we did.
Oh yeah, and that we just get hit against the wall and just play. And I grew up on the high school white cement courts with the steel chain link nets.
Of course.
That was
part of the deal.
Yeah, and you have to actually learn how to really look at the ball, and because it moved fast on that white cement with the painted yellow lines on them too. So.
It's funny. So when I teach, I grew up in the same situation where our facility, we had 2 4-court banks, and from the fence to the devil's line should be minimum 12 feet, but most facilities at 16 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ours was 8 feet.
Oh gee.
And
Oh, sure. Yeah, and myself, with keeping it up over the years. I've been playing myself for over 50 years, tennis myself. So that has really actually kind of kept me going with and me keeping in shape myself. So it has helped over the years too. And with that, but yeah, it's just so amazing that how different aspects of how people and how you get into tennis and playing very similar to me. I just didn't have I play good, but I'm just not I don't have all the skills of just having the perfect hand-eye coordination like a lot of people do. But I still hold my own usually when I go out and hit, and it's still fun to get out there and hit. And I still play singles sometimes with a buddy of mine, and which is fun, and still get out there and try to get out, and that's what keeps you young at heart, in a sense, with this game of tennis, with people and everything. But yeah, it just is amazing that people have that realm. And then plus, whenever I would talk to Cliff with owning the tennis shop in Tulsa, Totally Tennis is what it was named, and what a wonderful interview with him and talking about tournaments that he was in, being able to see tennis pros. He strung Jimmy Connor's rackets, the T2000s at one time. Brought his young son along with him to drop him off, and Jimmy had talked to his son, and through the Bank of Oklahoma tennis tournament that was held for like 10 years, which I have pictures of all of 10 years throughout the 10 years that I took, and that it was just, and then it gradually went into like an 8-man tournament, and then they kind of filtered and quit it and stuff like that. But it's still, to be able to have it there in Tulsa, and being able to get guys that you never would have thought that Tulsa would get. So, and to be able to see pros like that too. So it's always been a fun journey for me to be able to see them and take pictures of them too.
Right.
So yourself, you've probably come across a few pros yourself then too in stringing.
Yeah, most of this, so I string for a pro tournament, like a challenger level. So I'm strung for, Tiafo, Tommy Paul, Pelgo. From the women's side, I'm strung for Pagula. I'm strung for a lot of different players.
Oh my gosh!
Now with that is so cool that he's been able to string for a lot of those pro tennis players, and a couple of those that he mentioned actually were the ones that were in that tournament whenever we were just getting out of COVID and starting to get back out onto the tennis court. And Opelka and Tommy Paul, those were two of the names that were in that little 4-man tennis tournament in Florida at the time we were getting out and starting to play tennis again out of the pandemic.
So yeah, it's been, it's definitely been fun.
Oh, I'm sure it is, and to be able to string for pros like that you see that are upper in the United States, that are 3, 4, 5, 10 in the world, which is just amazing in itself.
Yeah, they're all nice people.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Francis Tiafo just seems like a very nice person altogether.
Actually, the nicest guy. Actually, there's two right now. One is Ben Shelton.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, is doing really well. I've known him for a while, and actually Chris Eubanks.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Chris Eubanks could not be a nicer guy. So when you see him on the Tennis Channel, and the way he is,
yes,
that is 100% how he is.
Wow.
He could not be a nicer guy.
Oh, that's just wonderful. And plus, if you want to plug the tennis volley talk to him, I don't mind that.
Right. But yeah, all those guys on tour, there is a difference between stringing a men's tournament and a women's tournament, just to give you an idea.
Oh, sure, okay.
So I just finished the women's tournament. We strung roughly about 100 60 frames over the course of a week.
Okay.
And then for the men's tournament, we struck 293 rackets.
Wow. Oh gosh.
So yeah, so it's two totally different situations.
Okay.
So for the men's final last year, it was Chris Eubanks versus Ben Shelton, and they struck 9 fresh.
Oh wow.
So Ben won in 5, and Chris won in 4. And for the women's tournament, we only struck 2 fresh for the women's final.
Oh,
That
okay.
was from one of the players. Emma Navarro won it, struck 4 rackets at the beginning of the week, and didn't restring the rest of the week.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I've been stringing for Emma for a couple years, so I kind of know her, kind of like how she strings. Usually, what she does is she'll string like this, like at the beginning of the week, and then she kind of plays into the frame.
Yeah.
And so she was stringing at 48 in the tournament, and then I would guess by the time they got to the final, it was probably playing at about 44.
Okay.
Maybe 42. Because the tension just is going to drop it every day, just because of just the way it works.
Oh yeah, tension drops. Yeah.
And but that's how she, so I'm assuming she's pending today this week, and so she'll probably string tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's for a lot of the girls, a little bit of this financial, where they just can't afford it.
Oh yeah.
That's just kind of how. But yeah, there's a huge difference between the men's tour and the women's tour.
Oh, I'm sure.
Looking with it.
Wow. That is so interesting in having that aspect of.
But here's what's also happening is I would guess in this tournament 70% of the players were playing with Onyx frames.
Okay.
Out of the girls that played with us, I think 3 girls were playing Battle Lot.
Okay.
And the rest were playing either Onyx or Blades.
Okay.
Or there's 2 girls playing Protective Fiber.
Okay.
2 girls playing Dunlop.
Okay.
Only three girls playing Battle Lot.
Wow.
And which is crazy to think that only 3 players out of all that were playing it, and the rest were playing Onyx.
That is amazing.
Everybody's moving the Onyx.
Really? Wow. I'm a head speed guy myself, so that and backup racket I use.
So there was 1 player playing with head speed.
Okay. And then my backup racket's an Arrow, the Rafa Arrow. Yeah, so, yeah, either one. I mean, I hit good with either one, so it kind of works.
Yeah, definitely. That's great.
So, but no, just so interesting in having your insight in what you've been through in your tennis career. I so appreciate the knowledge that you've given me with what you've done too, and I appreciate it, Patrick, and but thank you again for being with me on Tennis Volley Talk, and keep watching. And like I said, I don't mind if you throw the name out to some of those pros and have a listen to me.
Definitely. I enjoyed it. I really appreciate you having me on podcast, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Oh, I hope so. That would be good, and we'll keep in touch and keep on stringing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we pretty much finished my last day of stringing for the teams will be. I mean, I hope May 22nd.
Oh, okay.
Because if it's May 22nd, that means we won the national championship.
Oh, there you go. Well, then of course you can sit down and watch. Madrid is going on now, so leading up into the French Open. So.
Exactly. I love watching the French Open.
Oh, I do too. Oh, that is just so wonderful. And now with Rafa being injured, he lost in Madrid early, but he's kind of iffy now for the French.
Yeah, it's good, but it's the French.
It is.
He will do everything he can.
Oh,
Be ready for that day.
Oh, he will. And then every odds favorite now is Alcaraz. So.
He's played so well.
Oh, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Well, touch. We'll get together again. Keep in touch, and I thank you so much for your insight and being with me on Tennis Volley Talk.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
So thus concluded the interview, with Patrick Kearns. Very good, very insightful in what he does now and how he grew up playing tennis, being a stringer for the pros, some of the pros that he's strung rackets for, and what he does with the University of Virginia. Now, that university, it's not shy of its tennis courts. With that. It has its 11 hard true courts, 15 indoor tennis courts, clay, 11 hard true courts, and then 4 hydro courts, which are clay courts, but they're specifically watered and a timed watering system that keeps them from corroding and allows you to maintain them better, don't have to brush them off as much. So that's a really interesting way of keeping the clay courts more or less keeping moisture on them at precise times, so they don't get dried out as much as what they usually do. So it does kind of make it that way. And then it has 3 indoor courts with cushioned surface from the winter and then the rainy days that are out there. So not without having enough tennis courts at the country club that he managed and worked at too. Now, also today, what I'm going to be doing here is showing you then racket of the day. This is a Frank Kovac's racket called the Cortland racket, made by Wright Didson company, which I've mentioned before. Now, the Cortland is also the championship racket, and it has the white lettering Cortland on it. But the tournament Frank Kovac has the red letter on it. So it's just kind of a distinction between the 2 rackets with this. But it's probably, this racket is probably, like 1950s, 60s with this. And, that's kind of what he sponsored with that, Wright Didson, and being a court called the Cortland racket. And very still nice, very, very good shape, conditioned racket. Also, even up in the 50s, they were still doing the knots or the smooth to see who was going to serve with the racket. But Frank Kovacs he was a tall tennis player. He from December 4th, 1919 to February of 1990. And then he was 6'4", number 1 in the World Professional Tennis Association, and then also number 1 with the Pro Tennis Association too, back in the day, in respectively 1945 with the Pro Tennis, and then with the World Pro Tennis, and then 1951 with the Pro Tennis Association. Now, he was an amateur and professional tennis player in the 20th century in the U.S. He was a U.S. national indoor champion in 1941. He won world professional championships in 1945 in San Francisco. He was successful on clay, won the professional clay court championship in Chicago in 1946, defeating none other than Bobby Riggs in the final. And 5 U.S. professional clay court championships from 1948 to 1953 is also won international for U.S. Pro Championship in Cleveland in 1951. He also won the U.S. Pro Challenge Tour in 1947 against Bobby Riggs again. As a pro, he beat Jack Kramer and Bobby Riggs pretty much regular. Jack Kramer said that he did not really have that good of success against Frank Kovacs. He was very precise in what his shots were, kind of wild in thinking on how to construct points, but he would just go with it and wing it as he went along in the match. But his best successful shot that Jack Kramer said he had was a very sharp angle backhand cross-court shot that he never really could predict. And he had a low percentage winning point against Frank Kovacs. Ended up being such a very good tennis player back in the day. So that was it with the episode today. And I hope you enjoyed it, and keep watching and subscribing to Tennis Volley Talk. And also you podcasters out there, if you still want to take a look at what I'm talking about with the racket of the day, you can always go look at it and subscribe and comment on what you might want to hear me say or anything like that. So it's starting to get pretty nice out here where I'm at, and I hope that everybody has been getting out and playing tennis, and everybody have a very nice week playing tennis. And thank you, and everybody have a good day.